who wants, they can listen to it later on.
Okay, sounds good. So I started the recording. All right. So yeah, you can take it away, Wally.
So thank you, Raghu. I'm very happy to have you. And I mean, so happy to have you in the sense because you can understand our community, where we come from, and you belong to this group. And you have been talking to a lot of Tamil Sangam, and that is how we got introduced to you. And as the rest of the parents here who have joined, you would know from where we are coming from and what our intentions are. And you have kids, and so you will be able to understand our kids too. So I'm happy to have you, and this is going to be a real good information. I mean, I started out for me, and then this is for this Tamil Sangam community, so it should be a good one. So thank you and welcome again.
Thank you.
We have Advika. She is a 10th grader. She's going to give an introduction about you. And then Sadhana, she is a 9th grader. She will be coordinating the Q&A session towards the end. So one request, since we are doing this through our Tamil Sangam, we wanted to start this with Tamil Thai Valthu, and then we will start it. So I wanted to play the audio, and then we can go about it. I'm going to stop my video, and you can stand up for the Tamil Thai Valthu. So I'm going to play the audio. So thank you, and welcome again. And over to you, Advika. Thank you for asking me. So she volunteered to say, hey, do you have somebody who is going to give the introduction? I'm like, there you are. I'm happy to have you. So she will introduce you, and we can take it from there, Raghu.
Sure, absolutely.
Thank you, everyone.
Our speaker for today is Mr. Raghuram Sukumar. Mr. Sukumar is a multi-talented individual. He's not only the founder of happyschools.com, a higher education blogging site, and a full-time college career coach, but is also a social media influencer. He has successfully helped high school students get into top universities in the US. After completing his graduation, he worked in the software industry for over a decade. He has published more than 3,500 blog posts and has over 250,000 social followers. With that, I would like to hand it over to Mr. Raghuram Sukumar to begin his presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Adhika. That's a very good introduction. Thank you. It always good to hear from students, and always happy to have you in the panelist. And then I want to keep this as an interactive session. So like how I was talking to earlier, I would ask you questions and then have you also have more interaction as we go along the process. I really appreciate Valli and the San Antonio Tamil Sangam for giving me this opportunity to be here with you all to educate you about the college planning process. So when you think about college planning process, parents in general tend to think of my son or daughter is going to be in 11th grade. We have to apply for colleges pretty soon. What should we do? What you will learn from today is that there is a lot of advantage that every family is going to gain by thinking about this college planning process, at least as early as middle school. Because if your target is to go to a highly selective school, something like, say, Rice University or UT Austin, Harvard, it is a well planned out and executed process in order for you to get into those type of schools. And just by having a good grades and test scores is not enough, which means you need to plan at least it's like a 4 years of effort in order to even have a shot in those kind of highly caliber schools. That is what I'm going to share with you all today. So let me start the screen share, and then we'll go from there. All right, so let's go. So we are going to be covering 3 different parts today. After each part, I will pass for about 5 to 10 minutes where I will do Q&A specific to that section that I just covered. I'm sure you are going to have questions along the way. There are 2 ways that you can ask the questions to me. Number 1, below this video in Zoom, you will see an option called Q&A tab. You can either type in your questions in the Q&A tab, or there is also an option called raise hand. If you click that, then I'll be able to unmute you and you can talk to me and ask your questions. And you will not be on video. It's just going to be only the audio when you do the unmute option to talk to us. Okay. All right. So part 1. In order to set the expectations to know and explain my background, I always start with a true story, the reality that a typical 11th grader student faces. So I got this email from one of my clients a couple of years ago, and they came to know about me through their friends. And then they sent an email asking, we are not sure what my child wants to study, and we want help in navigating this process. So as a family, they did not have any idea about what major or which school to apply. All they wanted to do was get into a good college. That's always a common term that I hear. I want my son or daughter to get into a good college. The definition of good varies from family to family, and it's a sliding scale. Depending on your family, the student's accomplishment, the target school, target major, the type of schools will also vary. So as you can see, the student initially told that I'm looking at combined bachelor's and med school MD program. Typically, there are 3 kinds of BSMD program, 6, 7, or 8 years. So they were considering 7 or 8 year program, or plan B is biomedical engineering or computer science and engineering. Totally different from med school route to engineering route. The third option is pre-med with biology and computer minor. If you notice this one, that is something that stands out. Why would somebody want to do pre-med with computer minor? Without even thinking further, it's influenced by the family. Either mom or dad is an IT person. That is what their career is. So they feel comfortable having their child following the same footsteps. Whenever you see pre-med with biology major and computer minor, you can always tell there is a strong push from either mom or dad who is in IT asking their child to follow the footsteps, because if you do biology major, the thinking goes like this. What kind of job is there for you? We do not know anybody who did a biology major and have a successful career in the US. All our friend circle are in IT folks, which means we have no idea how to guide you. So which means at least we want you to have computer minor. That is how the parents think. It's not only that child's parents. Almost every parent I work with who are from India, they think like that. What is the plan B? What is the fallback option? And that fallback option almost always is in the field where they are working from. That is the pattern that I tend to see with all the families and most of the families I work with. So with the student, we started working in the month of, I believe, April, while the student was in 11th grade. The numbers that you see, number 6, number 5, number 29, are the ranking of the colleges she got admitted based on the US news for computer science. Ultimately, we decided to apply for computer science based on their parents' interest and what the students was willing to do. The student got into an Ivy League university, Cornell, Urbana champion for computer science, and University of Minnesota, Twin Cities, all amazing programs for computer science. But here is the underlying factor, which is mom wanted their child to go to med school because mom wanted to become a doctor. She did not have the option. Dad wanted their child to go into engineering field because dad is a computer science engineer. But if you look at all the 4 years of the high school track record, the student took part heavily in biology and medicine-based activities. The student did not even have a computer science course. How can I take somebody who did not have anything to do with computer science and get them into Cornell computer science program or Urbana champion computer science program? That is what college planning, strategy, how do you present an application to the specific major that we're targeting for? That is what I'm going to talk to you today. Reverse engineer. This is what I did with this student or several other students. What happened in the backend? As a family, when you talk to your friends and you will hear from them that my son or daughter got into UT Austin, they went to Rice, or they went into even higher ranked school, Georgia Tech, or anyone UC Systems, or wherever it is, you do not know what happened behind the scenes. All you know is that they got into a good college. That's about it. It's like you're looking at the tip of the iceberg, but the bulk of the work is hidden behind the scenes. So here are some of the recent admissions from my students. Georgia Tech, for this current seniors, Georgia Tech, Emory, Michigan, Maryland, Truman, Virginia, Missouri, whatnot. So, and if you look carefully, most of my kids that I work with get scholarship. There is this notion that parents tend to hear from their friends based on the scholarship is given based on the income. And if both husband and wife are working, mom and dad are working, you will not qualify for any financial aid. That's not the case. There is a strategy that is applied depending on your financial situation per family. So this is a couple of screenshots. I have more screenshots to share as we move along. Drexel gave the student about $23,000 scholarship per year. Missouri State also gave scholarship, and a couple of friends, a couple of other students, $25,000 per year. And another student got into Emory. Another student got $86,000 of scholarship per year. Another student got into Wake Forest University. So these are all highly selective schools and getting admission with scholarship. So that is what we will cover in detail today. All right. This is myself, my wife Madhu, and we have 2 kids, Rishi and Vishwa. Rishi is 12, Vishwa is 5. And Madhu is also a master's graduate. She did 2 degrees, in fact, one in France and one in North Carolina, which is all part of a single degree, but it's split into 2 different countries. And myself, as Advika was explaining, I went to Texas, Arlington. So I lived in Arlington. I've been to San Antonio multiple times, especially the river walks or the huge attractions. So we drive down there, we go to Houston and then Austin. So I've been all around. And of course, I have driven through all the way from Dallas even to South Border Islands. So those were the days from Texas, Arlington. That was back in 2005. Since then, I worked as a software engineer, and I started Happy Schools primarily to share my journey to the US, because back in the day, Yahoo Groups was the only source. to connect with people. It was filled with spam and junk. Then Orkut came along. Then I thought, why isn't there a source where somebody is writing about their experience? That's how I started Happy Schools. And it became to a point where universities started reaching out to me and said, could you promote our school? Test prep companies came to me and said, could you promote our test prep GRE courses and TOEFL courses for your students? So eventually it came to a point where my friends around here locally, I'm based in Raleigh, North Carolina, they asked, could you help our kids to get into good colleges? Because we did not go to the school here in the US. We do not know about the process. So we just came to know that it's a complicated process. And my son is already in 11th grade. That is how I got pulled into college planning. Before I came to high school college planning, I was primarily working with Indian students who are coming here for bachelor's and master's. That process is totally different than the college planning that we do for high school kids here. So that's how I got pulled in. And it came to a point where I just couldn't do it part-time because it was consuming pretty much 40 hours of my time doing part-time. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to move and become a full-time college coach, social media influencer for higher education. So I can help families all the way from somebody who is an 18-year-old from India who to come here to do their bachelor's, master's, PhD, and can help them with their H-1B visa process, OPT, STEM OPT, the green card process, all the way from EB2, EB3, EB5, and whatnot. The whole, and now the parents and their kids. So the entire generation, I am in a situation to help you in a way that you can get good education to your kids. So now, Advika explained about my background. So let's move forward with this. One important theme message I want the families to learn from today's session. If there is one thing that you can take away, which is this: start early. 80% of your college application work, if you are a 11th grader, 80% of your work should be completed before your senior year starts. If you plan to apply for a highly selective school and you're actually going to start the application process in the month of August or September, you pretty much are late in the game, which means you have to lower your expectations of the quality and the schools you're going to apply, as well as the quality of the application that you can submit. You might ask, why is that? A good college, a highly selected college, will require you to write anywhere from 3 to 6 essays per college. If you start working on your application process in the month of August and later, what happens is you will not have enough time to write unique essays for every college. As a mom and dad, you have no idea what's happening on the back end. Your child is going to tell you that we had a list of 6, but I'm just going to do only for 3 because it's just taking a lot of time. What you don't understand as a family is, if you want scholarship, most of the scholarships are allocated when you apply in early action or early decision. And the kids, what they do is, either they reuse the essays and just take out the name of the university, put in the other name. The question will go like this: why do you want to study a bachelor's in computer science in our school? They write one essay, take the name of the university, and then plug it in the other schools they're applying. That is not how you submit a quality application. Every single sentence in the essay should not be applicable to another college. If you do that, you submit a very good high quality application. To do that, it takes a lot of time. You have to dig deeper to find out what is that something very unique about that college I can write in the essay that cannot be used for another essay. To do that, you need a lot of time. That is why you have to start early. Next one. If you're a middle schooler or a high schooler, 9th, 10th, 11th, right? How do you write 60, 70 different essays and make them all unique? That is why your experience in middle school and high school counts. Every day and every day-to-day things that you do is an experience which can be converted into a story that the reader can literally be on the edge. So for example, Advika is here, we have Sadhana, right? Advika got up today in the morning and she did a bunch of things to be at this point in time. That is a story. Likewise, every day of our life, everything that happened in middle school, high school can be converted into a convincing story. To do that, you need to have a solid plan and understanding. That is why start early. Okay. So now, in general, the parents are concerned about only 3 important factors. Academics. Whatever time is left after you have completed all your homework, after we made sure you are getting higher grades, if you have time left over, let's focus on activities. Then the cost factor for college literally comes into picture only when you're submitting the application. Before that, around this time, if you have a 11th grader watching us today, around this time, the parents will start talking about, okay, where do we apply? What colleges we look at? But if I ask them, tell me exactly how much you want to spend for your child, how much it is going to cost you for the next 4 years, if your child is going to study in Texas or going to study in, say, Louisiana or Florida, or going to private school? The answer is, we do not know. Why? Because they do not know. That's the number one thing. Number two, you haven't started having the conversation in a level that it's going to help your child. When it comes to really at the last minute, you apply. What happens towards the end? You end up picking a university depending on what is the cost for 4 years. That is a huge mistake. Instead, you have to think like this. What if there is a university that will give the same quality education that you might get in a school in Texas, but in a private university setting at the cost of a public school? You will not know that unless you put in the time and effort to find those universities. What does it take to get into those schools? And it requires time and effort. That is why the parents tend to think about academics, activities, and the cost comes at the end. But let's look at colleges. What are colleges actually looking at? You are looking at 3 things. The students are looking at test scores and GPA, then activities. But the colleges are looking at a lot more things. Factor number 1, Johns Hopkins, 98% of the students who they accepted were in the top 10% of their class. Now, what people will think, typically families will do is, my son or daughter is studying really hard. They have a GPA of 4.5, 4.6. They take in heavy course of AP courses. The test score is also high. Immediately after that, the next thing is, because of good accomplishment, these highly selected colleges are easy to get into. The missing part is just the test scores is just one of the factor that will take you from point A to point B, not from A to Z. You just go from the first bucket into this second pool. That is all it does. Now, on the chart that you see on the right-hand side, Asian students account for 32% in the population. This is from the 2 years. And what you see, Johns Hopkins have 1,300 students joining their college as a freshman. Out of 1,300, 32% are Asians, which means 400 or so students. As Asian applicant, you are not looking for a spot in 1,300. You are literally looking for one spot in just 300 or 400 buckets. That's about it. As you can see, just by this one factor, applying race, the number of seats that you're competing for came down from 1,300 to 400. Now, as a student, now you have 300 to 400 is the range that you're looking at. Just apply the second factor. If you want to go to Johns Hopkins, is my child ranked 10th, top 10% in their class? If not, pretty much your chances are out the window right then and there. But what parents tend to think, my children's grade is really high, so which means they will easily get in. That is not the case. So your grading alone is not important. Your child is competing for the top spot coming out from your high school. They are going to rank the kids from your high school, whether he or she is going to be at the top. If you're not at the top, because Johns Hopkins probably will give you one seat from your class, or Harvard or Cornell. So are you that one student? That is how you need to think. Okay. So now we have SAT score range, we have GPA. Looking at all these factors, basically will determine whether you are going to be in the Asian bucket or not. Next, once you think you are in that Asian bucket, second step, how do we climb to top of the bucket? That is how the college strategy should go into. Now, I told you earlier, the parents are looking at academics, activities, and cost. This is for the Duke University. Look at all the factors the college is considering. Especially pay attention to the very important non-academic factor, extracurricular activity, given the same level of importance to all the academic factors. Same level. It is not important, it's very important. Second one, talent and ability is also very important. Character and personal qualities. Now let me ask a question to you as a parent. Have you given same importance to your child for extracurricular equal to the academics? Possibility is that maybe low. No is what most of the times I get the answer from. After that, what about talent and ability? Have you given the same importance to their character development? Now you're asking, what does colleges want to see in the student's character? How do we develop that? And how do we showcase that? That is why I'm been telling earlier, college planning doesn't have to start when the student's in 11th grade. It has to start much earlier so that we have time to build character, show the talent and ability. All right. This is another example. So every school will have these factors. For example, Washington University St. Louis is also a highly selective school. State residency and religious affiliation are not taken into account. Whereas in Duke, they take that into account. So just by looking at this factor, you are now looking at multiple factors, not just three, to kind of summarize and club the activities into a much more manageable way, not 3, but 9 activities. We will dig deeper and look at the real numbers of the role played by each of these factors. Yale University race. Pay attention to Asian. The number of students that Yale University accepted from the Asian bucket is anywhere from 299 to 352. Harvard, Asian students, 334, 337, 347, still on 300 to 400 range. Now, location, where you're applying from, the state from which you're applying from also plays a major role. This is a chart from the Brown University. Look at the numbers, right? Let's say the green number on the chart, 14% is for Southern. In fall 2010, they accepted about 14%. Okay, 14% of applications, right? Living in the US. 2019, it's 16. Not a lot of difference. The number pretty much is a flat line. The table that you see on the right-hand side is the most important data that is available for us, and really appreciate Brown for sharing the data with us, because number of applications received by the state from where the students are located. California, New Jersey, and Texas, you're looking at 5,000, 1,200, and 1,600 applications. Their acceptance rate is equally around 4%. That shows the competition. So 1,600 students are applying to Brown from state of Texas. Your chance of qualifying is around 4%. Now, look at Alaska. Just 35 students are applying. About 17% acceptance rate for kids coming from Alaska. So your location also plays a role. Now, earlier, we looked at just the GPA and test score. Now we are applying other factors, which means literally as you're going down the funnel, we are chipping away your shot of going into this highly selective school. This is an example from Princeton. For class of 2023, the students who started as a freshman from around the US. From Texas, there are 55 kids. From Montana, 2 kids. Alaska, 1 kid. From New Jersey, 190. New York, 153. So the location that where you come from also plays a role in this mix. Legacy status, which means, do you know anybody in your family who went to this highly selective college? For Princeton, 14% of the students in the class are children of Princeton alumni, only 14. But Harvard is a different story. 36% or so roughly are the kids of one parent went to Harvard, 2 parents went to Harvard, siblings, grandparent, multiple grandparents, aunts or uncle, other relatives. 36% of the class is filled by the legacy status. Now, as an Asian applicant, you are already competing only for 300 spots or so. 36% is taken away from this. Literally, you are competing for only 64% or so. You already have 300. On the 300, now legacy comes into picture. That is why it becomes really, really challenging as you navigate this process. Now, I told you earlier, the parents' income also plays a major role in this process. For example, a low-income student who is a high achiever looks really impressive for the college application process. That's why colleges have this process of need blind and need aware. Need blind means I do not care what is your income status of your family. If you are a highly qualified applicant, we will give you admission. Then we look at your finances. Need aware. Oh, I got 5 kids who are all similar caliber. I'm going to give admission to the kid number X because their parents are rich enough and they can pay. I don't have to give them scholarship. So that is need aware. Typically, when you have high income families, then need aware based colleges will give you an advantage than need blind colleges, depending on how the strategy is used. So income is also a factor. Citizenship is also another factor. International students typically pay the full fees, which means the colleges get more revenue. About 15% of the campus, 10 to 15% are international students. There goes a small percentage. Legacy is gone. Now we have international student application, 15% is gone. Location where you apply from takes away some of it. Coming under Asian bucket, chips away some of it. So you have an Asian bucket of like 300, then you start chipping away all the small things. So that is why strategy is really important. How we are going to present your child's application plays a major role in this whole process. So that is the list of factors. And I'm going to take a quick pause here. Let's see if there is any Q&A. If you have any questions, please head on to, let me stop sharing. Please post your questions in the Q&A section, or you can raise your hand in Zoom and you'll be able to talk to me. So Advika, tell me, what did you learn today so far?
Well, so I learned that there's more factors than just the 3 that we mainly think about. And once you look at these factors, it becomes more, it's more specific to the colleges you may want to choose.
Sure, absolutely. As a student, you are in 10th grade, correct?
Yes.
Are you looking at colleges in the eyes of these factors, or are you just going about your day, making sure you're getting high grades? So how are you doing on a day-to-day life?
I haven't been really looking so much at colleges yet. So.
All right, sure. Sadhana, so how about you? So you are in 9th grade, which means You are just going to navigate this process. You're 1 year behind Advika. As a 9th grader, how are you looking at colleges, or are you even thinking about colleges now in terms of what do I have to do today?
In general, I've been thinking about colleges for a while, like even since like middle school. So like kind of when I got to 9th grade, I kind of was like forced by my parents, I was like, I have to look at colleges, I have to start thinking. So like when I started thinking, I don't know exactly what colleges I want to go to, but I kind of have like a genre and like based off of what I want to be when I grow up and like the colleges that kind of like help me get that job.
Sure. All right. Sounds good. Awesome. Let's see. I do not see any questions so far. All right. So any questions from Sadhana, Advika so far? All right.
So I have a question, at least from a parent's perspective, Raghu.
Sure, Vali.
So me going back to my childhood, growing up in India, things seems to be very easy. But here, it's so haunting. And with so much you're saying, I'm like, oh my God, it's going to be very hard. This is not going to be easy. That's how haunting it is. So.
Absolutely. So the way in which you have to think, Vali, is you have expectations for your child. All of us want our kids to do much better than where we are. That's basic how we were born and brought up. We want our kids to do much better. We want to see them have a much better career, happiness, and have much financial success as well. And back in India, we really don't have a choice. Engineering, medicine, you go to counseling, and wherever you end up is what you end up going. We didn't have a choice. If parents tells you want to go to med school, and that is what we're thinking of. They tell you want to go to engineering, that's what. But here, the kids have choices. They're growing up in a different environment, in a different culture, different society. And they start thinking about colleges much earlier than what we used to think. For us, colleges never came into mind until we finished our 12th grade. Before that, all we care about is your class rank and how much can you get in your public exam. That's about it. But here, just the test scores and GPA will not get them into good college. We just need a lot more than that, and that requires planning. I'll give you one simple number if somebody want to easily understand. 200 hours of effort on one single activity, 10 to 12 months preceding the application, is at least required to show mastery in the area that you're applying for. So if you tell, I want to apply for computer science, and then you tell, I want to apply for computer science in a highly selective college, the schools will want to know, show me your subject mastery in that, which means, can we show I have spent at least 200 hours on the area and the field I'm interested in preceding the application window. So what happens is, from what I have seen with parents, let's say I'm working with a family and they have a daughter. They will tell, oh, I have Bharatanatyam experience. I spend 3-4 hours a week, and even longer than that. I'm also doing Arangetram that is coming up. Okay, what are you applying for? I want to do computer science. That is not subject mastery. Show me subject mastery in computer science for minimum 200 hours. How do I showcase the subject mastery for computer science, or at least minimum 200 hours of work? It can be done multiple ways. So parents think totally differently because they have been having their kids take part in activities from younger age, but they are not thinking, how is this band or string playing experience from middle school or orchestra going to impact them when they're applying for college? They don't think like that. They've been doing it for a long time, say taekwondo or swim classes. Unless you apply to a major related to that, the impact of that is going to be very, very less if you're going for a highly selective college. For an average school, every child has three kinds of school. Safety school, which for sure they'll get into. A target school is the school where they should get into based on their credentials. And the reach school. Let's give it a try. It may not be possible for us to get there. So depending on where your child is, there is three possibilities. Your goal as a parent is to figure out, can my child go to a high reach school with scholarship, or at least high reach school? One. Number two, can my child get into a target school with full scholarship or at least 50%? Safety school. Can they go to a safety school with full scholarship? That is how you have to start thinking. And in order to do that, is a strategy that goes behind each and every student. If the student comes to me telling that I have done Bharatanatyam all my life, I want to apply for pre-med, I want to do biology, and I have done only a few courses in biology, no summer activities related to biology, I want to go to an Ivy League. How can I build a profile for somebody like that to get into Ivy League when you're not showing the subject mastery? So relevancy is really the key, and using that is how we have to build a profile. And there is a method to everything, right? Every aspect of your admission factor have to be specifically linked to what you have done, to a story. The person who is going to read should feel like there is something about this person. It's all in the paper. How do you make them give you admission? Just them reading at the paper. That is a skill, and that is why planning early and then spending a lot of time will help you master that. All right. I have a question from Shankar. It's about 5 to 9 investment plan. I will touch upon that in the second session, Shankar, and then I'll answer that. Okay. All right. So let's continue with next part. Part 2, financial aid and scholarship. So I always ask this question before I start this section. What's the difference between financial aid and scholarship? So folks who are listening, I wanted to see if you guys can put in a quick comment, but I'll ask Advika, what's the difference, Advika, between financial aid and scholarship?
So financial aid is when you don't have sufficient amount of money, so they give you extra loans to go to the college. And scholarship is when you're qualified enough that they give you money because of your qualifications and not because of income.
Sure. Guess what? That's the exact answer I get from every time I ask this question. Okay, that's not the answer. The right answer is when the colleges give you admission, they give you a financial aid package. The financial aid package consists of 4 components. Scholarship is one of the component. Scholarship, grant, work study program, and loan. These 4 components is what makes a financial aid package. It is not used interchangeably. Its financial aid is sitting at the top, which is a combination of 4 things. Now, the scholarship is made up of 2 kinds: need-based scholarship and merit-based scholarship. So need-based is given to the families and to the students where they don't have enough money based on their income and the assets. Merit-based scholarship is purely given based on the student merit. Here's the thing. Not always the merit-based is given based on the student merit. You also get free money, primarily as a business, for the colleges to attract your child to come to their college. It may not be based on the merit, but they give you a fancy name. Amazing, like something like Vice President Scholarship, Dean Scholarship, Dean Scholarship, some name, some scholarship. It's basically for them to come, it's either a business way to attract you, or it's kind of like a bait. Sometimes you'll see a scholarship of $2,000. It doesn't going to move a needle a lot. So that's the difference. Financial aid consists of 4 components, in which scholarship is a component. Okay, so how does the colleges know that how much a family can afford? Each family have to file a form called Fafsa and CSS Profile. In that form, you're going to fill in the details about your income, your assets, your balance in 401k, your 5 to 9 contributions, and whatnot. If you are a 11th grader right now, which means we are in 2022, you will file the Fafsa from the month of October, and your college will start only in 2023. So you do a year before. Okay, so that is how you do the scholarship application. Please make a note of this formula. A very simple formula that is going to tell you how much money your family can afford to pay. This is a federal formula used by the family, used by the colleges. 47% of your adjusted gross income. I believe on the tax form, your 1040, line item number 8 or 9 will give you this AGI. You take that AGI, divide that by 47%, and divide that number by 2. And whatever assets you have, let's say you have an assets, cash or investment property or whatnot. To make it simple, let's say you have an asset of 100K, 5.64% of that assets. Add that if that number is greater than around $25,000. As a family, you may not qualify for need-based. Why? I'll give you the table. And instead, you go study within a school in Texas, public school. Let's say it's going to cost you around $25,000. If your adjusted gross income is say 100K, if you apply this formula and assuming that you don't have any assets, simply 100K in AGI will translate to $23,500 of estimated family contribution. Now, the colleges are going to think this family can afford $23,500 per year. It is going to cost them only $25K per year. I'm just not going to give them any scholarship. Let them figure out the remaining $1,500 and they come to our college. So if the college will cost you $50K, as a family, you can afford only $25K. The remaining money, you will get financial aid. But it may not be all free money. It could be also a loan, or you may not get anything. They'll just give you $5,000 in loan. The remaining, they will tell, it's up to you to figure it out. We're not going to give you anything. So that is how the role of your income and the impact of that when it comes to paying colleges. I have an example of Brown University here. What Brown tells us, on an average, we give about $49,000 in scholarship per year. Okay. The thing is, all the $49,000 they give scholarship does not have any loan in that. The Brown University is giving them free money. If you come into Brown and you can afford only X, Y we will give it to you for free. In general, this is how the scholarship process works. Now, I told you earlier, can Asian students with 2 working parents get scholarship? Here are the examples of my kids who got scholarship. Here's one student who got about $36,000 in scholarship, which equates to $9,000 per year. Another student in University of South Carolina got about $86,000 of scholarship worth over a period of 4 years. Above all, another student of mine got this scholarship. Let me read what's there. Greetings from Chapel Hill. We are thrilled to offer you an academic scholarship awarding you the equivalent of tuition fees, room and board renewable for 4 years. What does that mean? Full year, 4 years of free ride. We really want you in our campus. Just come. We will pay you everything. You don't have to spend a single penny while you are in school. This is also one of my students. To do these kind of things, to get admission with full funding and scholarship, there is a lot of strategy that goes on the back end. It is not just, so that's why I told you, on the surface, all you will hear is, I got admission with scholarship. How we build the application, how we present them, and how do we ensure the student is the most attractive student. It's like a lot of moving pieces. We have to make it all fit perfectly so that the colleges will definitely consider coming here, giving the student admission. So here's the thing, right? Above 95 percentile of the application pool, you have, along with the combination of academic test scores and major and applied, you have very good chance of getting scholarship there. Or family income, low need based, and family income is high, attractive student, and if you are either in business, right? It's pretty much, it comes down to how do you present your application. That is what in the end it matters. Okay, so I will pass for a few seconds. I'm sure there will be a lot of questions about scholarship, what sources of fund. I'll spend time to answer the questions. I think I already have a question from Shankar, which will fall into this category, right? 5 to 9 investment colleges that we can apply. Here's the thing. The 5 to 9 plan is a double-edged sword. What do I mean by that? Let me share here. For example, the 100K in assets that you have. As I told you, 5.64% of that is what? 5,640. If your AGI is also 100K, that equals to 23,500. So you add this, you are looking at approximately 30K, 31K, right? If the cost for 1 year is only $25,000, as a family, you can afford 31K. You don't get any scholarship. So now, let's say it will cost you $50,000 to study in one university. You can afford, let's say 25. One family can afford only 25 based on EFC. Another family can afford 31,000 because they have a 5 to 9 plan. Now, at the end of the day, these two kids get a financial aid package. Because of this family who had a 5 to 9 plan, they are getting only $19,000 of, say, free money. But this family is going to get close to what, $24,000. Why? Because the assets did not have. So that is how this 5 to 9 plan, whatever money you have, will lower your eligibility to get scholarship. That is the numbers. So the question is, if your family is a high income holder, then anyway, you're not going to be eligible for this general scholarship. At that point, you might have to think seriously, is 5 to 9 plan my only option, or the different way to pay for colleges? So that is something that you need to discuss with the financial planner, who can specifically help with college planning part, not just for retirement. And they are probably the right ones to tell, based on your family and situation, is 5 to 9 plan the right choice? Okay. Another question from Manish. Do we have to be a US citizen in order to get financial aid? So Manish, if you are a H4 visa holder, your child is a H4 visa holder or another visa holder, they will not be eligible to file Fafsa, which means they will not be eligible for need-based. But I have students who are H4 visa holders, and they got a lot of scholarship which are merit-based. So depending on whether you are single income, dual income, what assets you have, whether you're eligible for need-based or not. If you're not eligible for need-based, you may be eligible for need-based in a private college. For that, we have to use a CSS profile form. So as I told you, right, this college planning process is on the surface is pretty simple. You dig down deeper, there is layers of layers that you can peel to figure out for this family, this is the perfect story because their income is this is what their assets are, this is the major the student is interested in, and whatnot. So that is how we have to craft a plan per student. All right, so any other questions about this section that we discussed so far? All right, so let's move on to the part 3. So in part 3, this is where we talk about how do you build your profile so that your child can be ready to apply to a strong college starting from middle school. Let me take a quick water sip. Here is a table that I want you to refer to. Every summer, your goal as a parent is to have your child take part in increasingly challenging level of an activity so that when they come between the summer of 11th and 12th, they are taking part in a really important activity. The colleges finds it, this is awesome. To get to that phase, it's a work in progress. You can't just show up in the summer between 11th and 12th and tell, I'm super awesome. It might take time and effort to figure out who you are. So that's one approach. Or so the second approach is the students who come to me when they're already in 11th grade, I have to understand who they are and create a new world for them, a new persona that we can present it to the college that they would find it really attractive to give admission and scholarship. Approach 1, we build profile along the way. Approach 2, you have done X, Y, and Z, and let's try to build a compelling story within that. The challenges for a lot of kids, it's very tough to build a compelling profile when you're already in 11th grade. Then we just have an upper limit of what we can do and build within that. But when you start early, your upper limit is basically what we decide, to what extent we want your child to accomplish. So that's the 2 basic approaches. Your application strategy should be dependent on early action, early decision, restrictive early action, and regular admission. Don't worry if you do not know what these are. These are typically 4 kinds of application deadlines. Applying to one versus the other will depend on how much work the student can do with the time that we got. What advantages do we get by applying early is that if you apply early, your chances of acceptance is literally 3 times than somebody who is applying regular. But as I told you earlier, if you want to apply early, you have to write essays much earlier than that, not for a month or 2. If you can spend a lot of time earlier and write good essays, then your chances of acceptance is also like literally 3 times. Here are the factors. Academics is 30%, essays is 25%, extracurriculars is 25%, reference letter and other factors. Academics is really, really tricky. Why? Here is one academic index. Different colleges use different criteria for this one. 1/3 of SAT score, 1/3 of SAT subject score, 1/3 of class rank, coupled with another 2/3 of SAT, converted class rank. We do not know what specific formula each college is using, but what we know is that they have certain formulas they use. So they use the formula and bulk eliminate a lot of applicants. Once after they eliminated, then the activity part comes into picture. Your activity should be unique, relevant, and interesting. Here are 6 examples from Johns Hopkins, from the kids who got accepted there. Created a rover that detects and extinguishes fire. Competed 3 times at Junior Olympic Games in fencing. Been a nationally ranked rock climber. Won a national astronomy and astronautics championship. So you need such a higher caliber activity in order to be an attractive student. So let's say you want to take part in, be an Olympian. That's something that you cannot start in your 11th grade summer and tell that I'm an Olympian. That kid is probably practicing from 3 years old. Nationally ranked rock climber. You don't become a rock climber overnight, right? You practice, you take part in competition and slowly climb up the ranking. Becoming a national astronomy and astronautics championship. You study for years, like the spelling bee or whatnot. So all those activities take a long time and commitment. If we can show that, then it's a good for us. Then as I told you, we will write a lot of essays. Common App essay typically takes 45 days or so to write. Then you have supplemental essays, then you have scholarship essays. So that's why please start early so the essays can be really strong. And the recommendation letters, you will need 1 or 2 per teacher, and 1 from the counselor and 1 maybe from your math, say dance teacher or whoever is also helping you outside the school. Then we have interviews, audition, portfolio research, depending on what major we're applying for. That plays for a tiny percentage of the application process. So course planning is also really, really important. As a child is going from 8th to 9th, you have to take this really seriously. Here are the questions I want you to ask as a student or as a family. How many AP courses should I take? Should I take calculus both AB and BC, depending on your school? What about foreign language? 2 years, 3 years, or 4 years? I want to study computer science. Should I study AP human geography? And looking at the questions, here is an example of a sample math track. Option 1, that student is on the lower end. 9th grade math 1, math 2, pre-calc, along with math 3, or they will do math 3 and then pre-calc and end of it. Option 3, the student is doing calculus AB or BC in 9th grade. In 10th grade, they're doing AP stats. On 11th and 12th, they ran out of math courses. So they go to college to take math courses, right? So the courses are really, really important. Highly selective schools wanted to see heavier course load. So if you look at what college planning is really, it is course planning from middle school to high school and all along. Then activities. What is my child interested in? If not, how do we figure out what my child is interested in? What activities we have to build for them over the period of next 4-5 years? How do we execute them? In what way so that the colleges find it attractive? When do we take the test? How many times do we take the test? Then the application strategy, along with your family finances. That is what we have to do as a college planning. So if you take a look at it, what courses to pursue, what to eliminate, what new activities to add, what should I be doing in the summer month? How am I doing this summer? How is it related to the major I want to apply? So those are the questions you need to start asking. And additional questions like volunteer. What kind of volunteer work? What kind of impact are you having? Should I take ACT or SAT? Should I go to tutoring one-on-one or a class? How many hours do I have to spend outside the classroom? So those are all the questions you have to ask, okay? And a lot more questions. Which college? In-state, out-state, private school? Is my essay good enough? Above all, as a parent, you want them to do something. Is your child listening to you? Those are the challenges that I have seen families try to navigate this process. So in general, when I work with a client, let's say they are in 11th grade, we do all this, a career mapping assessment. We do college major and minor search, have a plan A, plan B, and plan C for the college list. Essay work, essay review, essay editing, strategy for application, campus visit, course planning, and whatnot. So you put together all those things, you get a solid, presentable applicant that colleges really want them, and they end up giving scholarship. All right. So I want to touch upon few minutes about the visa holders. If your child is in H4, the strategy will be slightly different. Why? The moment your child ages out, when they turn 21, they have to be on F1 status. When they go to F1 status, student visa, F1 student visa, right? They will automatically become an out-of-state student. So the fees is going to go up. The question is, do I apply for a change of status, or should I want my child to travel and get a visa stamping and come inside? Do I have to, when do I have to start paying for out-of-state fees? So when we select colleges for somebody who's on H4, we have to think in terms of the status change. Okay. All right. So generally, the role a coach plays in the whole process is, as the family is navigating this process, especially it comes to a time where you're going to apply. Trust me, it is going to be the challenging time of your child's career. But from my point of view, I see these families year after year. I can tell this time, March 25th to March 31st, 2023, you will be getting acceptance letters from the colleges that you applied in the month of January or before. This is probably the last week you're going to hear all your admission results. Some of them will be really happy. Some of them will be upset because they didn't get in the right school. And some of them might get waitlisted. Some of them might get denied. That is exactly going to happen next year. That's what is happening today. I've been getting notifications from the kids that today morning I got a notification, actually 3. One person got into Wisconsin-Madison. Another person got waitlisted into Boston University. Another person got denied in another highly selective liberal arts college. This will happen, its pattern year after year. What happens in the month of August and September? What happened with my current clients is exactly what's going to happen with the new set that is coming in. So I bring in the perspective. I help the parents calm down, show them this is what is likely going to happen. Let's be ready for it. And then we have a balanced list of colleges so that we are not going to a safety school. So creating a custom application, helping you navigate each step without stress. It's very difficult to tell you will not have any stress, but at least manage the process. So that is the advantage that when you work with a coach, they bring to the table. In general, what I recommend is somebody who is in 8th or 9th grade, 1 or 2 meetings per year. 10th grade, 2 meetings per year. Once they come to 11th and 12th, the meeting frequency increases. That is a typically recommended meeting schedule when you work with me, or I do not know how other coaches do, but this is typically what my meeting schedule will look like. But The frequency can increase depending on the student's accomplishment on the profile. When a student comes to me, right, I'm doing the math and the strategy is at work. GPA is this is the test score. They have taken this many AP courses. Then I go do research work about their high school and then figure out where does this specific student stand in comparison with the others. What major the student is applying. What about the activity level? Relevant, highly relevant, not related. Then what clubs they are taking part in. The parents' income. What about their story? How good are their writing skills? What about the creative process? Take all that into account and kind of create a hash map. This is the right approach for the student. Then we'll execute that approach. An approach for student A will not be the same for the student B. Totally different personality, even though they might apply to the same major, but how the application will be crafted per student will be totally different. So that's the process that you have to go through. Okay. So this concludes my presentation. I will have the screen for a few minutes for you folks to have it, and take a screenshot of a QR code that will take you to a page where you can sign up for my newsletter, or you can send me an email or send me a text message. I'm happy to guide you in this process and help you go from where you are today to help your child with the whole process. Okay, now let's do Q&A. Advika, Sadhana, any questions, Wally, from you all?
Yeah, so there is a question in the chat that says, how can we get a recording of the session?
Sure. The recording of the session, I will send it to Wally, and she will be sending it to you with the link. I'm not sure if they are going to put it on YouTube or a different place and share, but the recording will be available to you. I will send it to them probably later today or tomorrow, and they should be getting out to you. So give it about maybe 24 hours or so.
Okay,
Yeah,
and
we'll
there's
put it in
another
our
one.
SATS YouTube channel.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good.
There's another question that says, if there are any recommendations on summer classes that would be helpful for college credits.
Sure. So, hi, Madangi. It's a good question, but very generic question. For me to give an answer to that, here are the things I wanted to know about a specific student. What are they interested in? Why are they interested in that? Why do you want to take classes in summer? The opportunity cost. What are you missing out by taking classes in summer? Are there a different activity that we can have the child do over taking a classes in summer? If nothing is available, then which class will have an impact? Is it a community college class, is a paid one, or is a competitive one? So there are several layers of answers that I need to find. I think I will mute Wally. There are several layers before I can give an answer to tell this is possibly a good scenario that you can have your child do. It is not one size fits all solution where we want X number of courses and colleges are going to have a check mark to give us admission. That's not the case. We don't even have to take classes if there is something else a student is interested in. So it's very hard for me to tell, go take this course. But the reason is there is a lot of questions I need to ask, have a conversation. Then we'll figure out, is summer course the best option or not? If it's the best option, then where, when, and how? Is it a 2-week course, or is it a community college course, or it's going to be a 6-week long course, or it's going to be in person, or it's going to be a residential? Multiple factors, right? So that's how you need to think about that, Madangi.
Okay. Right. There's another question that says, what is the right time to get started on for a college application? And what do you need to know prior to starting?
Sure. So when you say right time, I have clients all the way from 6th grade. I work with, I meet with them once a year. But if you have a family who have kid in 8th, 9th, or 10th, then it's basically we'll meet only 1 or twice a year. But if your child is already in 11th grade, we have to start now. My current clients who are in 11th grade are further into this process. They know about essay writing process. They know about what is the strategy for their specific child. We have already planned what should they be doing for this summer. Some of them are writing essays. Some of them are writing essays along with research work. Some of them are retaking their test. So that plan has already been done for them. So if you're a 11th grader, we have to start the process now, not in summer or not in August, now, because even now, if you start now, we can still catch up. But whatever you could have done from January till March, maybe 5 hours of an activity time that you can spend every week, that is something that we cannot get. But with the time that we got, we can definitely make things better for you. So I would definitely recommend to reach out to me, and then we will have a quick 15-minute strategy call to see if you are a right fit, and if I'm also a right fit, if I can also help you. So you apply for this college application, and if we think we are both a right fit, then I will give you an invite for you to come and join the program so that I can help your child, because I take a certain number of students, families that I can work with every year, and I getting close to filling that out. So please reach out to me as soon as possible so we can see if we are a good fit. All right, sounds good. Next one, Sadhana.
I don't think there are any more questions, but if anybody does have any more questions,
there's one more just came in. Do you take students in 8th grade to help with college applications? Yes, I do. For somebody's on 8th grade, around this time, we just probably need one session that will get you through all the way till end of 9th grade. Course planning, what activities to do, what your interests are. Basically, we do course correction and forecasting of what has to be done for next year. You go and execute it. If you have any questions, you can schedule another session and then come back. Or the child is really mature and independent and getting things done, we can increase the frequency to meet. So it's absolutely, I work with kids from all the way from 6th grade and above. Okay, another question. I'm currently H4 as well. Do I have to switch to F1 before starting college or when I turn 21? You don't have to switch before starting college, because if you switch, you start paying out of state fees. Instead of paying $25,000, you will start paying $50,000 per year, which is not the right decision. So I will ideally want to wait as long as possible, so you can make use of the in-state fees and then switch. The timing of the switch is what we need to work on. A change of status petition takes like 14 months these days. So which might not be an ideal case. And visa stamping, nobody is getting an appointment, which is also a tricky part. So we have to manage that based on your specific family visa status and visa slot availability, where they are available, and do we have time as a family for your child to go get stamping. So that's how we need to do the planning, Manish. Okay. All right, so that was the last question. I think, yeah, no more questions.
Yeah, I think everybody got what they want. So it's now more about thinking about what you have shared with us, Raghu. This is a lot of information and it feels very overwhelming. I'm like, oh my God, so much to go in. I don't know how I'm going to do this. So yeah, as you said, I am actually planning to reach out to you because this is all new to me, and maybe I need some help or something to see how, because we don't want to have this college planning a stressful thing for the parent and also for the kid, things like that.
Absolutely, Vali. Please reach out to me anytime. Happy to help.
Yeah. Thank you, Raghu. Thank you, everyone, for joining. And yeah, we will post this session on YouTube.
Sure. Thanks for the opportunity to come to you guys this Saturday and present to you. And also thanks for listening. And I really appreciate you all. And please reach out. Happy to help. Thanks to Hadvika and Sadhana for being a good panelist and then hanging out. And hope you guys all do well. And then I'll see you guys soon.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, Hadvika.